go. We're here. It is Wednesday, January 20th. We're here to do some yoga. So if you're home and you need to sit up on blankets, grab a blanket. If you need to sit up on 2 blankets and it feels better for your hips. And you know, if you're cross-legged but your hips are feeling a little bit iffy, you can always slip blocks underneath of the outside of your knees there, and it can really help your hips release a little bit more. So if that feels good, do it, and let yourself just start to close your eyes and lengthen up through the top of your head. And accept your breaths now, in and out through your nose. If you can, imagine you're breathing equally in and out through both sides of your nose, really. See if you can bring your breath into the belly as you inhale, feeling your belly rise and expand as you breathe in. Just start to move a little bit with the breath, letting your exhalations bring you forward and your inhalations bring you back up. And it might mean that you only move a little bit. Might mean that you like to increase that forward motion there, but keep your back nice and long if you can. It's almost like you're moving as one piece, forward and back. Next time that you come back upright, let yourself sit up nice and tall, releasing your arms on out beside you here now. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse to inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now if you're cross-legged, let's switch the legs in front. So you can stretch your legs out if you need to, bringing your other leg in front here now. If you're not cross-legged, just leave the way you are for sitting in your chair or your legs are long. And then again, lengthening up, and again, let yourself start to move forward and back with your breath. So just imagine letting the hips warm up a little bit here, keeping that length through the spine. And just letting yourself start to feel the breath be what moves you, really. And then again, the next time that you end up upright, let yourself stay there. And we'll let our arms come out beside us again and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down through the midline, right in front of our hearts. And then lift your elbows up a little bit. Feel that sense of coming into your wrists here. And now, let the tips of your fingers start to touch, where just the middle finger really is touching here, the tips of your middle fingers together. And now start to roll into the backs of the hands, gently coming together here now. Don't press hard, but just feel your wrists come into that motion of fingertips down. And then come on back. Again, it's almost like you have your hands just lying on the top of a shelf here now. And then we'll extend and unfold our arms straight on out beside us. Let yourself just enjoy reaching out through your fingertips. And then softly turn your palms up. Let your elbows soften a little bit down. Feel how your armpits kind of hollow out a little bit there. And then start to circle your hands around. So easily letting your hands circle in one direction. And then we'll reverse and stop and go the other. And let's release here. Let our arms come on down. You can shake your hands out a little bit. And let's stretch both legs out for a second. Move through your feet and your ankles a bit. And we're going to come into crossing our left ankle above or maybe a little below your right knee. That depends on you. So take your time, and if you have your foot accessible up there to you, maybe kind of give your foot just a little bit of massage here. Just wake up. Imagine you're just waking up your foot here by gently pressing into the bottom of the foot with your thumbs, and you can work on each toe if you want to, squeezing a little bit from the root of the toe up through the middle of the toe to the tips of the toes a little bit. If they're cold, it helps too. And then we're going to come forward just a little bit if we can. If not, sit up nice and tall. Let your hip release. If you're able to come forward with that long back, do. Coming into just releasing a little deeper into that left hip there. And of course, you're going to feel the back of your right leg. Good. One more breath. And then come on back upright. Keep your legs the way they are. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let your right hand come over towards that left knee, coming into twist here. So if the hand doesn't want to come to the knee, you can always put your hand on your shin so that you don't come as far around. Just be easy. Feel the sitting bones drawing down, lengthening up through the top of your head. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come back through center. We're going to go all the way around into the other direction in that twist. So if your left hand can come to your foot, again, it can still stay on your shin if you'd rather. Just let yourself find that length upward through the top of your head. One more inhale. And then let your exhale draw you back to center. Feel your belly, your low belly working. And we're going to switch legs. So come into the other side, and again, we'll first give our foot just a little bit of attention there. So wake up the foot, let yourself just easily press into the bottom of the foot. Again, you can kind of work through your toes if it feels good to do that. Just give your foot a little bit of love here. Wake it up. Top of the foot too. Sometimes it's really nice to kind of move between the toes there and into the top of the foot. And then finish off. Come on back into flexing that foot. And then as you think of coming forward, whether you actually come forward or not is totally up to you. So just letting yourself release through that right hip. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up, inhaling here. And on the exhale, left hand coming around again towards that right knee. Letting yourself lengthen up. Just right fingertips lightly touching the floor back there behind you. And just enjoy waking up the spine here. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around through center. We're going all the way into the other direction. So again, as you come on around to the other side, feel your sit bones drawing down to the ground. Feel that left heel on the floor. Draw it back towards you just a little bit so you're engaged in that long leg. And one more inhale. Let your exhale draw you on back around into center. Let's stretch our legs out again. You can move through your feet and your ankles again. But then let your hands come behind you. Whether you decide to go flat onto your hands or stay on your fingertips, start to now feel your heels on the floor. Look at your feet. Make sure your toes are facing up. Heels are drawing down. And then see maybe if you want to lift your gaze up just a little bit, opening through the chest here. Don't force it. If it doesn't feel good in your shoulders, stay up on your fingertips. Don't go so far. One more breath. And then we'll release to come on back and let your chin come down towards your chest here. And just be mindful, let your head move a little bit if you want to turn your chin side to side. You might even feel like going a little bit further with the chin, even letting your shoulders get involved a little bit if you want to. You can kind of let yourself sway a little bit, side to side, just let go there. And then come back to center with your chin. We're gonna bring the head on back up, and we're gonna come around towards our hands and knees. So you know, if you do not want to be on your knees, do not be. Grab a blanket if you'd rather. If you want your hands up in a seat of a chair, you can let yourself be up so that you don't have yourself down on your knees on the floor, right? So you can hold the edge of a seat of a chair if it helps your wrists, takes that wrist crease away. You can do fists if you're on the floor. Put your hands on a blanket if you'd rather. If you're fine to be flat on your hands, just spread your fingers nice and wide and think about getting your pointer fingers parallel to each other. And then let yourself look down between your hands. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, draw your navel towards your spine. Feel your tailbone drop down as you round up into cat. And on your next inhale, send your tailbone back and up a little bit. Now you can look down between your hands, or you can start to drop the chest even more and look forward into your cow pose. So easily start to flow through your own spine with your breath. Now if you end up breathing the opposite, it's fine. Just let yourself keep breathing and flowing through the back like you're just waking up your spine here. And then we'll finish off the one we're on. And let's come back to more neutral spine. Look down there between your hands again. And now, just send your right foot behind you on the floor. Curl your toes under so you can stretch out the back of your leg. So if you have your hands in the chair, just make it be like a little mini lunge. Just to open up, really focus on the back of that right leg. Zip up your low belly. And then we're going to switch legs. So bringing that knee down if you're on the floor, sending that left foot back, letting yourself again. Now feel as equal as you can between your hands. Engage your belly, zip up that low belly. Good, and then we'll come on back down. We're going to step forward with our left foot and back with our right foot to find a lunge here. So you know, whatever support you want underneath your hands, you can use your blocks, you can use the chair seat, or even come up higher onto the back of a chair if you want. And then take your time, get yourself aligned there with that front knee. Make sure it's not going out beyond your ankle there. Feel really easy into the hips here. Doesn't matter how long your stance is. Just think about it coming into the legs and the hips. Good, and now we're going to switch legs. Doesn't matter whether you step forward or backward. Letting yourself bring that right foot forward. And again, feel the feet in the floor. Draw your shoulders down so you're not hunching up into your shoulders, but you're really drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Good, and we're going to switch legs again. So if you can, press your feet just gently away from each other, like you're trying to lengthen your mat, which will get you a little deeper up into the hips there. And if you want to lift your left hand or forearm up to your thigh, you can. You don't need to. And then we're going to switch again. So coming to that other side. Again, take your time. Totally up to you. If you feel like you want to, as you press the feet away from each other, rise the right hand or forearm up to your thigh, you can, but you can keep both hands down. Good. From here, we're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend with our feet hips distance apart and parallel. And you know, if you need a long back, which a lot of us do, if your back really does not feel good to round, you want to come into nice long back, and that means maybe using support. You can always bend your knees and rest your elbows above your knees and lengthen your spine out that way, or put your hands on the chair or blocks. And take your time. If you're okay, let your head hang do. If that feels like it's too much for your back, keep the back of your head in line with your spine. And come in if you can, watching your breaths now, all the way in and all the way out. So keeping your awareness with your own breath. Feeling the expansion of the rib cage as you inhale. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, and we're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise straight on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, if you need to walk a little bit in place, do, adjust, whatever you need to. Even looking at your feet if that helps you, because sometimes we have one foot a little bit farther forward than the other, or maybe a little bit more turned out than the other one. So try to get as equal as you can with your feet. And then let your arms come out beside you for a second and kind of shake your hands out a little bit, swing around, feel really the weight of your own arms. And then just let them hang, right? So you're reaching up through the top of your head, like if you had a string attached to the base of your spine, and it comes up through your spinal column and then all the way out through the top of your head. If someone was pulling down there at the string at the bottom and up on the top, but let your tailbone not tuck under you. Reach your tailbone down towards between your heels. And then just let yourself come into your mountain pose very easily here. Feel balanced between your feet. Really easily as you bring yourself into looking out, whether your eyes are open or closed, as though you're looking at the horizon. And then let your next inhale, rise your arms out beside you and up overhead. Now you can be in a wide V. Turn your palms to face each other. Maybe even your pinkies turn inward a little bit more. You can let the arms come higher if you want. Mountain with arms overhead. Feel very grounded through your feet. One more inhale. And as you exhale, bring the hands right down through the midline to rest right in front of your chest, in front of your heart. Spread your fingers out just a little bit. Let yourself feel that connection of your hands. And then we'll unfold our arms back down beside us. We're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back. So again, hands can be on your legs anywhere, on your blocks, on your chair. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. Good. Press the feet gently away from each other. Inhale. And exhale, come into your downward facing dog pose. So if your hands are on the blocks any height, your heels might be on the floor, right? You let yourself, same thing if your hands are in the chair. Think of lengthening through your spine. If you need to bend your knees, by all means do in your dog. And let your next inhale bring you out towards your plank, nice and strong. Engage your belly a little bit. You don't have to go all the way. You can go to forearms if you'd rather. You can put your knees onto the ground and do a half plank too if you'd rather. Good. And we're going to make our way back into down dog from here. So again, as you reach back through your sitting bones, walk a little bit, bend one knee at a time. Good. And then we'll bring our right foot forward and come on into lunge. And then come on back into your standing forward bend again. Again, being really mindful of your own back. If you need to use support, keep your spine long, do. If you'd like to fold over your legs, holding your elbows, go right ahead. But really paying attention, again, to your own back. Watching your breaths again now, all the way in and out. And then bringing our hands on up to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's reverse our arms. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms as you fold forward. Back again into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that nice long back. And this time, left foot steps back to come into lunge. So adjust into your lunge here now. Draw your shoulders down. Really, now we start to come into our sun salutations, warming up every part of the body. We'll come into down dog from here. So adjusting as you need, you know that. Take your time, hands on whatever surface you like. Feel your elbows softly hugging towards each other. And let your next inhale bring you out towards a plank. Again, you can come down to your forearms. You can put your knees down if you're on the floor, and that feels better, coming into a half plank. Just enjoy finding a little core strength here, belly, low back. And then we'll come on back again into our downward facing dog pose. And from here, we will bring the left foot forward to find lunge. So again, you get there however you need. You can put your knee down, right knee down to get your left foot forward. And then we'll come back again into our standing forward bend. Again, support if you need. Go right to your breaths. Try to let your face go on your jaw. So if you're feeling a little tense, sometimes moving your mouth around a little bit helps. Just letting yourself release through your face. Even imagine letting your throat relax. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, press into our feet, rising up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale the hands right back up through the midline, and on the exhale, open the arms and come on forward, back into standing forward bend. Inhale, find that long flat back. And this time, place your hands where you like, and we're going to walk into down dog from here. So step your way back, take your time. Feel those elbows hugging towards each other. So really, when you reach back far enough in dog, you almost erase your wrist creases, right? And then we'll come on out towards plank. And it is up to you whether you stay in forearms and do a forearm plank or a half plank. If you want to do a back bend, you can. You can let yourself come through into a sphinx where you're on your forearms into that back bend, or a little cobra or an up dog. And then we'll make our way back into down dog again. Take your time. Walk if you need to. Bend your knees if you need. Wag your tail if it feels good. And then we're going to do that same thing. We're going to come on out to that plank. And again, you can come to your forearms if you want. You can come into a back bend or not. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. And this time, let's bring our right foot forward to find lunge. And then we'll come all the way back again into standing forward bend. Let yourself release here again, using support if you need. Float your toes up for a second from the floor. And make sure you're not rolling to the inside or the outside of your feet, right? So you feel your arches lifting up, but you think about the base of your big toe mound, the base of your little toe mound, and your inner and outer heel kind of at the base of your arch, reaching into the floor. And then let your toes softly come back down. We'll bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees, and rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, coming down into mountain pose, hands in front of your chest. Take your time. For a second here, look down. Let yourself release your neck. Let the chin come down towards your chest. And then rise your head on back up, chin parallel to the floor. And let's tilt our head to the right. Let your hands just slide over towards front of the left shoulder there. And then come on back up to the top of the head, hands to center, and tilt your head the other way so the hands go opposite way. And then come on back and right into center again here. Feel the fingers spread wide. Feel the connection through each finger, your thumbs. And let yourself enjoy centering out in your mountain pose. Good. And then we'll bring our hands on down. Shake out a little bit. And if you need to, walk around a little bit. Move through your feet and your ankles. If you're using a chair, you might want to turn it around. And have your blocks handy here. We're going to step our right foot back and come into Warrior Two, which is, sometimes called side-facing warrior. So the right foot's about parallel to the back edge of your mat, and the left foot is about parallel to the long edge. And when you bend that left knee, look at it. Make sure it's not going out beyond your toes. You should be able to look down and see your toes there. And then from here, let's float our arms on out. Turn your palms up for a second. Let your elbows soften down. And just imagine you're holding something very equal in both your hands. Whatever you want to imagine there, that you feel, though, that sense of equality all the way from the hands through the arms into your shoulders. And then rotate your palms down, reach out through the fingertips. Feel the feet gently pressing away from each other. And let's turn the left palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky. Let your right hand give you a little support back there. Breathe a couple of nice full breaths into the left ribs. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. So your left hand or forearm can be on your thigh, on your chair if you'd rather. And see about rising that right arm up. If it bothers your shoulder, put your hand back down on your hip. If you can let the arm come up either straight up from your shoulder or bringing the arm in to where it's in line with the right side of the body. Feeling long through both sides of the body here. Good. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Press those feet away from each other. It gets you right back into your core. And now we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to turn our feet so that we're into a feet wider apart in our shoulders and come on into a wide-legged forward bend. So if you need to grab blocks and have blocks in front of you, have your hands on blocks rather than the floor. And then at first, just stay here with a nice long back, like you have a tabletop back, right? Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other. Bend your knees a little bit. Imagine your inner thighs melting their way behind you. And then walk your hands a little to the right, and you can just shift your blocks if you want over towards the right, or you can walk over towards holding onto your right foot or ankle. And then we'll come back through center, and we're going to go to the left. Again, doesn't matter how far you go. Take your time, stay there. Give your body, your legs, your hips time to adjust there. Good, and then we'll come on back into center. Now, if you're better off to let your knees bend in this pose, do. And also, if it feels better to put your elbows above your knees, keeping that length of the spine, do that. Or use your blocks if you need. Some of you might want to go ahead and fold to let the top of the head release down towards the ground. And again, this is really a matter of how it feels in your back. So take your time. Let yourself, if possible, enjoy the weight of your head. Try to let your face be soft again. Let go all around your eyes and your mouth. Good. One more full deep breath here. And now to come up to standing, you take your time. If you feel like you need to bring your feet closer together before you rise up, then do it. Hands to the thighs to help you up. And if you're dizzy, just be really mindful so that if you walk around and feel a little bit dizzy, hold on to something if you need to. And we're going to go the other side. So again, if you have your chair there, if you're unsteady, that chair can just give you a little bit of support to get your feet the distance apart where you feel good. And then when you bend that right knee and you start to let yourself look down, just make sure, again, you can see your toes. You don't want the knee heading inward. You want the knee coming over the center of the foot. And then floating your arms on up and out again. Turn your palms up. Let your elbows melt down and see if, again, you can feel very, very equal. Imagine Again, something in your hands that feels so balanced. And then as we turn our palms down and reach out through the fingertips, press the feet just gently away from each other on the mat. So you feel that action up into your hips. Finding that power and strength of your warrior two. And then we'll turn the right palm up. And inhale, reach up. Let your left hand give you a little support back there on your leg. And breathe into the right ribs here. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. So again, you can put your hand right on your chair if you want. So you're just leaning out over that right leg. You can bring your left arm up. If your shoulder bothers you, put your hand down on your hip. You know, if you'd rather your arm come straight up rather than in closer with the palm facing down towards the floor, that's fine. Just do what your shoulder lets you do. Find length through both sides of the body. Good. One more breath here. And then we're going to come on back into warrior two. Press the feet gently away from each other, letting yourself come on back into your warrior two. And then bring your hands down. Again, we're going to turn our feet more parallel as we get them again, at least as wider than our shoulders if we can. And then come on forward. And once you get your hands to the surface you want to use, if you want to adjust how far apart your feet are, do, okay? And then you can bend a knee at a time if your knees let you do that. All right, so you're attempting to have your feet pretty parallel. So toes facing the long edge of your mat. But sometimes, for some of us, a little bit of turnout feels better in the hips. So, you know, just be mindful. Pay attention to how it feels for you. And then come on back into center and let yourself lengthen out again into that long back. Bend your knees a little bit. Imagine you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet and feel your inner thighs kind of melt their way behind you. Good. And then release to where you're comfortable. If you like to stack blocks up, you can actually get out of your hands, your wrists, and support yourself with your forearms on your blocks. You know, there's several heights you can do. Or you can let yourself release. Walk your hands back towards between your feet, or maybe hold your ankles if you want. And then just enjoy. Appreciate the breath again. Deep breaths coming in to expand the ribs. One more nice full deep breath, all the way in, all the way out here. And then to come up, you know, take your time. If you need to adjust your stance before you rise on up to standing, do. And then bring your feet on together. And again, walk around a little bit. We'll bring our blocks again forward to the front of the mat. And this time, if you have your chair there, you might want to put your hands on it. We're going to come forward so that when we step our right foot back, we'll be in our warrior one. So that front-facing warrior. So if your hands are on the chair, you know you've got your shoulders around square. You can always pretend you have a chair there. And then you can bring your hands up to your heart so your shoulders are around square to the front of your mat. Back foot turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees. Let yourself feel that bend to the front knee, but make sure, look down, make sure it's not going out beyond your toes, right? Too much pressure in the knee. You should be able to see your toes when you look down. And then bring your your gaze on back up, and we're going to float the hands up through the midline, and then open the arms as wide as you need to. You can be a wide V, or you can have your hands over your shoulders. Turn your pinkies towards each other a little bit. Feel the shoulders release down away from your ears. Now you can bring your gaze up if you want. That's up to you. That means the lift of the belly gets a little stronger. That release of the low back. So your top right buttock muscles are reaching down towards your heel. And then we're going to release to come forward. Straighten that front leg out. See if you can bring your hands behind you and clasp them. Now you're drawing this right hip pointer around. You're really square now to the front of your mat. And come a little bit forward towards pyramid. Now that means maybe it's an inch, right? Thighs are lifting up. Your legs are really working. You can keep going if you want, but just try to keep your hands up for a little bit if you can. Feel that sense of thighs engaging up towards the hips. And then when you're ready to bring your hands down, that can be any height you want to be. You can bring your hands down, say, to blocks to the highest height. You may decide you want to go lower on your blocks. You can come to the seat of your chair. But remember, both legs are straight. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips in pyramid. Back foot is fully on the floor, all right? So just letting yourself enjoy. Find that length through both sides of your body. And if any of you like to fold forward over that front leg, you can if that feels good. If not, go ahead and stay up. Good. And then come back up a little more parallel to the floor. We're going to bend the front knee and find lunge. You might need to reach a little farther back with that right foot. So coming back to that lunge, and we're going to add a twist of bringing the left hand to the left hip and drawing our left shoulder up towards the ceiling. That hand can stay down if you want, palm down onto your low back. Just try to stay as level as you can there in your hips, or you can stretch the left arm up if you choose. Totally up to you and your shoulders, what feels good. Good, and then we'll come on back down with the left hand, and we're going to step forward and come on into feet right underneath the hips. Bend both your knees, quite deeply actually. Think about really pressing into your feet and rising up into chair pose, hands to your heart. So keeping your gaze maybe 4 to 6 feet in front of you on the ground. Feel that uplift in the body there, and then press into your feet. We'll come on up into mountain pose from here. Take your time, let it feel good. Good, and then we'll release. Shake out a little bit, and if you need to shake your legs out a little bit, do. We're going to come to the other side. So this time, as you step forward towards the front of your mat, the left foot steps back into warrior one. So if you have that chair there, you're reaching your fingertips to it. You can always pretend you have one so that you get your shoulders around. You can tell by your hands out there in front of you. And then bringing your hands right into your heart and letting yourself feel your shoulders over your hips. Good. And then we'll unfold our arms down beside us and inhale the arms out and up. And again, you can stay in a wide V. Depends on your shoulders. You can even bring your arms farther forward if you need to, right? Or you can bring your arms up more by your ears. But think of the pinkies turning inward. If you're able to look up a little bit, feeling that lift at the base of the shoulder blades do. Just enjoy feeling that sense of that back left foot on the floor, open through the front of the left hip. One more breath. And we're going to release our arms on down, and we're going to straighten that right knee out. So again, you're squared off, hands behind you. Clasp your hands if you can. Feel your thighs lifting upward. Then you might want to just stay 1 inch forward. So that's really a lot of work for the legs here. You can stay up. You can keep going farther forward. You can get parallel to the floor if you want to go that low. Try to keep your hips level if you can. And then when you're ready to lower your hands down, if you need to adjust your stance, do, right? So that you feel pretty good about feeling very equal through the sides of your body here. Thighs are both lifting up towards the hips. Again, if you like to fold forward, you can. You can let yourself bow over that front leg if it feels good, but don't force it. Again, really letting yourself come into the backs of the legs, but being active by feeling the thighs engaging upward. And then we're going to come up a little bit so we're more parallel to the floor. Bend our front knee, and now release your left heel directly behind you, coming into your lunge. Getting yourself set there where you like your hands to be. And then we'll bring our right hand up to our right hip and roll that right shoulder up. You can have your hand right there on your low back. Palm down, finding that sense of really pretty levelness in your hips here. Or you can stretch that right arm straight up if you want. Be where you're able to be. Lengthen out through the top of your head and reach back through your inner left heel. Feel your whole body here in this lunge with a twist. Beautiful. We're going to bring our hand on back down into lunge, and then we're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend. Now, press into your feet, bend your knees. Think about coming up to chair pose, hands to your heart. So you're equal between your feet. You bring your hands to your heart. You can come up a little higher if you want. You can stay lower. That's up to you. One more breath here. And then press into your feet. We're going to rise on up. Let's release our arms down beside us. Inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down right to come into mountain pose, hands to our heart. So ease your way. If you need to shift around a little bit, do. And then go ahead and let everything come down. Shake out a little bit. Move through whatever you need to. And we are going to bring our mats into a wall. So bringing your short edge of your mat into a wall and letting yourself now, we're going to do a little warrior 3 with our hands at the wall. So we're all different for this. So for some of us, if you know your wrists don't like you to come parallel to the floor like this with your body, into that L shape, you can have your hands up higher and let your feet still be under you and lift your right leg up. And there's a warrior 3. Now you can make it as extreme as you want. You can bring yourself down more, let yourself release with the body more parallel to the floor, or you can keep the leg lower and have the torso up higher, right? So we're all different. Kind of make your way into where it feels good for you. The back foot that's off the floor is flexed. The hips are trying to stay square. So you're trying to point the pinky toe of that foot behind you down towards the floor. So the hip is not lifting. Beautiful, that's it. And now go ahead and bring that foot down and try to switch and go to the other leg. Take your time. Good. One more breath. Good, and then release. Let yourself turn left hand towards the wall for a second. And now, see if you can cross your right ankle above your left knee and just shift your hips back a little bit to give your hip a little release there. You don't have to go low, and if it's too much, stay up higher, but if you can kind of sit back like you're sitting in a chair and let your hip release a little bit, do. Good, and then we're going to come up and move closer to the wall with your left shoulder. So you're pretty close. And bring your right arm up and over. See if you can lean your left side of your head into the wall and put your right fingertips up on the wall, maybe right over your head. If your shoulder bothers you, you might have to put the hand forward. But you're just breathing into the right side. A nice side stretch here. So let your inhales expand the right ribs. Feel as equal as you can between your feet. You can bend your knees a little bit if you need to. Let the wall support you. And then we'll come on up. We're going to lower that right arm down. And we're going to lift the left inside arm up. Now, if you need to step away from the wall to do that, do it. And then see about bending your left elbow, bringing your left hand down, maybe to the back of your head if you're out further, or the top of your head, right? Or maybe if you're in close, your hand will go down more toward the back of your neck or your upper back. So bringing your gaze forward so that you're not rounding into your back here. Looking straight forward. And even if your elbow's down farther, right? Let yourself look straight forward. And if you're able to bring your right hand behind you, do, so that the palm faces out, away from your low back. If that bothers your shoulder, don't do it. And of course, if you want to add, bringing the hands closer together, you can, up there on your back. One more breath. And now step away from the wall, bring your arms on down, let them swing a little bit, we're turning around. And at first, remember, we're going to cross that left ankle above our right knee. And then again, if you can, bend the right knee a little bit, come a little forward too. Don't do anything that hurts your knees or your hips, right? You're more than welcome to go lower if you want, stay up higher. Just let that left hip release as best you can. And then we'll rise back up and uncross. Step into the wall if you can. And again, at first that left outside arm comes up and you can lean your head towards the wall. And again, if this bothers your shoulder, you know, you can always put your left hand and keep it down on your hip. Lean the head into the wall and still breathe into your left ribs, right? So let the breath do the work for you. Let yourself just feel the breath, expanding the left ribs when you inhale. Good. And then we're going to rise up to lower that left arm down. And then we're going to rise the inside right arm up. Again, if you have to move away from the wall, when you start to bend that elbow, if it feels uncomfortable, do what you need to do. Right hand can come down behind, wherever it can behind you there, your head, your neck, your upper back. Left hand, if you can rest it low with your palm facing out. If that even bothers you, don't do that. Or you can decide, I want my hands to come closer together on my back. You can let the wall help you a little bit there with your right elbow. But remember, that underside arm, this is a very different experience for the shoulder, so don't force it. Keep your gaze forward. See if you can feel your tailbone reaching right down between your heels. One more breath. And then we're going to release. Let your arms come on down. And then for a second, just bring yourself back to the wall and walk out just a little bit so that you're resting the back of your head in the wall, and you're going to let your arms just kind of hang a little, if you can. Like you have a string attached to your sternum and somebody's drawing it up on a diagonal line in front of you. So if that hurts your back, don't do it. Come closer to the wall, but let yourself just try to feel the release of your head into the wall there. Good. And then shift your hips on back. Bend your knees for a second. Let yourself release. And we're going to come down onto our bellies on the floor from here. So let yourself come on down. Feet back towards the wall behind you. And release on into making a little pillow if you can with your hands so your forehead can rest there. And then just relax, breathe into your low back. Let your legs go if you can. Release up into your hips if you can. Enjoy the breath. Feel the belly coming into the floor when you inhale. And the low back expanding on those inhales. Good. And now, let yourself release your arms so you're reaching towards the front corners of your mat. So you're kind of like in an open V position with your arms. Lower your head down. And on your next inhale, let your right arm and your left leg and your head float up a little. And then when you exhale, lower down. So on the inhale, we're going to go to the opposite side. Left arm, right leg, float up a little. And then we'll exhale and bring them down. And we'll go back to the right arm, left leg. Inhaling up and exhaling down. And then the left arm and the right leg. Inhaling up and exhaling down. And now bring your hands back under your head for a second. Make that pillow. And then bend your knees. And let your feet circle around. And then let your lower legs come from one side to the other, if that doesn't hurt you anywhere. And then come on back into center. Flex your feet. Feel like you're pulling your heels in towards your buttocks a little bit, so you feel your thighs. And then come back into long legs, and we're going to release our arms now down alongside our bodies, so your palms are facing down to the floor, and your forehead is on the floor for a second. And now on your next inhale, float everything you can up into a locust pose. Reaching your fingertips and your toes back towards the wall behind you. It's not about height. It's engaging the back muscles here, strengthening. And then come on back down. Let your forehead come down. Breathe into your low back. Try to let your legs relax. And then we'll do that one more time. So inhaling, floating up whatever we can. Reaching fingertips and toes back towards the wall behind us. Breaths become a little more shallow here. Good. And then release down. Come onto your forearms. Let yourself feel your elbows under your shoulders. Bend your knees here. And lift your hips up as you press down into a half forearm plank. So engage your belly. If you feel like you want to go into a full forearm plank, go for it. You can put your toes down, lift your knees up if you want. Or you can stay right there. You're kind of on the flesh above your knees. You don't want to be right on the top of your knees. Good. One more breath. And then as we come down, we're going to start to make our way towards child's pose. So bringing the big toes together, knees apart, shifting back. Now if you know coming too deeply into the knees is not good for you, stay forward on your forearms. You can release there. You can kind of put your head down, let yourself release into the low back and the hips. Or you can continue letting the hips shift back towards your heels. So really everybody is different. In your child's pose, be where you can. Breathe into your low back. And get comfortable for your shoulders. You can always bring your arms alongside your legs, turn the palms up, or you can release them softly overhead. Good. One more breath. And then bring your hands back by your knees. And we're going to come on up to bring our legs around in front of us. So stretch your legs out for a second and see if you can revisit bringing the hands behind you like we did at the beginning of class and draw the chest a little forward, all right? So maybe your shoulders are a little more open to do this. Again, you can stay up on your fingertips so you're not going quite as deeply into the shoulders. Or you can let yourself come flat on your palms. But it's that sense of the sternum coming forward on that diagonal line, opening through the front body. Good. And then release to come up. And we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So come down however you want. You can roll down if you want to. Let yourself release on down. Let your knees bend and keep the feet on the floor if you can, and let your knees just release from one side to the other. It doesn't have to be a big movement. You might just barely shift from the top of one hip to the top of the other. Good, and then come back into center. Bring your arms down alongside your body. Turn your palms for a second down towards the ground. And press into the backs of your shoulders, really. Roll the shoulders under more. And then go ahead and bend your elbows so the palms face each other. And keep pressing now into the backs of the arms. And you can roll maybe under even more once you get there. And as you start to float your hips up into a little bridge pose, keep that pressure into the upper arms. Now think about staying really easy with the back of your head into the floor. You don't have to lift up high to be in a bridge pose. So there's length in the back of your throat. So you're trying not to let the chin go way down towards your chest, but you also don't want to lift it up. So your voice changes even. So try to find that ease there. Feel equal through your feet. If you don't feel quite right, come down. And change how far your feet are before you lift up from your buttocks, right? So sometimes going farther away or closer in feels better. So experiment a little bit. Once you get up there, if you want to stay, stay. If you want to grab a block and put it underneath you and give you support to lie on and rest and let your low back release, do a supported bridge. And if you're in a supported bridge, you can be any height. You can be the lowest height of the block. You can be the second highest, or you can go all the way up if you want, but it's really high, beware. So just be mindful of allowing yourself to come into the bridge, how feels good for you today. And you know, you come down anytime you want. You might want to go back up again. When you come down, if you need to bring your knees in towards your chest, do. Good. So we are going to slowly make our way on down to the ground. Once you get down, bring your right knee in towards your chest. And then extend your left leg down long on the floor. And put your left hand right there on the hip pointer bone, the left hip pointer bone. So you're resting your hand right there kind of at the front of your left leg there, left upper thigh. And then draw the right knee to the right with your right hand. Almost like you're drawing your right knee towards your shoulder a little bit. Keep both your feet flexing. And then bring the knee back to center. Let your left hand come across to that right knee. Stretch your right arm out beside you on the floor. And then draw the knee over towards the left. Now you can go just a little bit across the midline for this twist. You don't even have to release the right hip off the floor. If you want to, you can. You can let the right side come off the mat and come deeper into twist. That's up to you. And then we'll make our way back, knee into center here. And let's bring our left knee in. And let the right foot come down and then slowly extend the leg out long. Flex through both your feet. See if you can put your right hand on that top of your right upper thigh right there where your leg connects for a second. And then slowly draw the left knee to the left. So it's like you're drawing your knee up towards your shoulder. Again, keep both feet flexing. And then come on back into center with the knee. Let the right hand come over to that left knee. Stretch your left arm out beside you on the floor. And now as you draw the knee over towards the right, it again depends on you. You might want to keep your left hip down towards the floor and just go a little across the midline. Or you might want to keep on going and let that left side come off the floor and come a little deeper. That's up to you. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll come on back into center. Let's bring both knees in towards the chest. And then separate your knees. Send your hands to the inside of your legs. Maybe you just want to hold your shins here. You might want to hold your ankles. Some of you might even want to reach down and wrap your hands around the feet as the bottoms of the feet come all the way together. But that depends on your hips. So just let your hips release wherever's best for you. Let it feel good to your low back and your hips. And then just easily bring your knees back in towards your chest. Stretch your legs up for a second. Reach your arms overhead too if you can. And then just let your legs move around. Do what you want up there. Back and forth if you want with your legs. You might want to open and close them like scissors. You can even cross your ankles one way and then the other, open and close like that. Or do the little bicycle up there or that cross-country kind of skiing movement. Just be mindful. Let yourself take your time. Maybe something else sounds good too. You know, if you'd rather let yourself come into a wide angle or come into a little happy baby pose, bending your knees and letting your hips and back release there. So it could be anything because everybody is different. So after the poses we've just done, just start to let your body do what it needs to do, right? So that it feels really easy to let yourself move in a way that feels like it's going to allow you to be able to release when we get ready to come into our Shavasana here. So really, another pose, another movement. Take your time. I'm going to start to get lights, and then I will bring support for people here at the studio. I can't do it if you're home, but hopefully if you have stuff handy there at home, you can use blankets for under your head, a little fold of a blanket. You can use a blanket to cover up with if you're chilly. At the studio, I'm bringing bolsters for underneath knees for those of you who feel like that might be a good idea. So remember, the bolster or a roll of blanket underneath your knees just helps the pelvis to change enough for some of us to where it feels like really relaxing, right? And if it doesn't feel good, you can always take it out. So just get easy with the way you have your arms, your legs. There's no right or wrong. So when you're coming into Shavasana, if you need to wiggle your way in a little bit and move your arms and legs a little bit, do it. So that you can just enjoy feeling the back of your body kind of melting down into the ground. Letting yourself now start to watch your breaths as they come in and go out. And like keeping your awareness with your breath. And obviously sometimes your brain goes off and thinks. If you can, when you realize that you're off into a thought, just softly bring your awareness back to your breath, and anything that helps you do that. You know, sometimes counting the breaths, coming back to counting the last number you remembered or starting over helps. Or focusing on one word when you inhale and another word when you exhale, or a mantra, if that helps you come back to your breath. So just easily let yourself accept your breaths in and out, giving your body and your brain just a little bit of time here to benefit from all you did. And just by letting yourself completely and fully relax. refresh you. Feeling your fingers and your toes, maybe at first want to wiggle and move around a little bit into your hands, your feet when you're ready, and arms and legs when you feel ready to move more into your extremities. Let yourself take your time. You might even want to let your head roll a little side to side. You may want to stretch, you may want to bend. Just let your body naturally come back to moving the way it wants. You know, you can stay there on your back. You can roll to either your right or your left side if you're comfortable to do that, into a soft fetal position. Just give yourself time that you need so it becomes really easy to think about coming up to sitting when you're ready. And if you can let your eyes stay closed, if you need to grab a blanket to sit on, anything that helps you be comfortable when you're sitting, whether your legs want to stretch out or you want to cross your legs. Be mindful, lengthening up through the top of your head once you're seated, and letting your hands come to an easy place for your shoulders to be open and released. And come back to watching your breath in and out through your nose. And softly letting your hands come to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.